Good.
All set.
All right, now we're good. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kyle Stone. Welcome to our FOIA training, our committee meetings, and our board meeting this evening for July 12th, 2023. It's a little after 6 p.m. and I will make the requisite motion so that we can conduct these meetings virtually. To conduct this meeting wholly electronically, the Park Authority Board needs to make certain findings for the record to evidence our compliance with Virginia Code 2.2-3708.2. These motions address this compliance. I'm going to conduct a roll call and ask each board member participating in these meetings to state your name and the location from which you are participating. I ask that each of you pay close attention to ensure that you can hear each of your colleagues. Following this roll call, we will vote to establish that every member can hear every other member's voice. We will go alphabetically. Also, as the evening progresses, if additional board, well, that's not going to happen because everybody who's going to be here is here. So we'll get started. I'll get started. My name is Kyle Stone. No, yeah, we'll start with Abena. Abena, ignore everything I said. You go first.
I am Abena A. Houghton, and I'm joining from my residence in Franconia District.
Great, thank you. Dr. Carter? Cindy, you're on mute.
Great. My name is Cynthia Jacobs Carter, and I'm participating from my home in Franconia District. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Maggie?
Yeah, I'm Maggie Godbold, and I'm participating from my home in the Sully District.
Thank you. Linwood?
This is Linwood Gorm, and I'm participating from my home in the Mount Vernon District. Over.
Thank you for that. Tim, you're up.
Tim Hackman, participating from my residence in the Drainsville District.
Good deal. Faisal?
This is Faisal Khan. I'm at my residence in Providence District.
And Ken?
Ken Quincy, participating from my residence in the Providence District.
Great. And then I am Kyle Stone, and I am participating from my office in Fairfax City. Ron Kendall, Mike Thompson, Bill Bowie, and Jim Zook are all absent and excused from tonight's meeting. At this point, I'm going to pass the virtual gavel to Vice Chair Godbold so that I may be heard to make the requisite motion. I move that each member's voice may be adequately heard by each other member of this board.
This is Maggie Godbold. You all have heard the motion. Is there a second?
Tim Hackman, I second.
Thank you, Maggie Godbold. It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. That motion passes.
Thank you, Maggie. This is Kyle Stone again. Second, I move that the Park Authority Board will hold an all virtual public meeting because circumstances warrant the holding of an all virtual public meeting, including but not limited to the convenience of an all virtual meeting.
This is Maggie Godbold. You all have heard the motion. Is there a second?
Tim Hackman, I second.
Thank you, Tim. This is Maggie again. Is there any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Mr. Chairman, the motion's approved.
Thank you. This is Kyle Stone again. Third, I move that one, the Park Authority Board has not had more than two all virtual public meetings or more than 25% of its meetings rounded up to the next whole number, whichever is greater, during the calendar year since the emergency order was lifted. And two, the Park Authority Board's last meeting was not an all virtual public meeting.
This is Maggie Godbold. You all have heard the motion. Is there a second?
Tim Hackman, I second.
Thank you, Tim. This is Maggie again. It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. That motion passes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. This is Kyle Stone again. As a result, I further move that the Park Authority Board conduct this meeting electronically through a dedicated video and audio conferencing line, and that the public may access this meeting by calling 602-333-0032 and entering access code 646450.
This is Maggie Godbold. You have heard the motion. Is there a second?
Tim Hackman, I second.
Thank you, Tim. This is Maggie. It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. That motion passes.
This is Kyle Stone again. Finally, I move that the meeting of the Park Authority Board to be held this day is in conformance with this body's all virtual public meeting policy. And as such, the meeting notice indicated that the public meeting will be all virtual. And the notice stated that the method by which the Park Authority Board chose to meet would not be changed unless the Park Authority Board provided a new meeting notice in accordance with VA Code 2.2-3707. Public access to this meeting is provided by electronic communication means that allows the public to hear all participating members of the Park Authority Board. Audiovisual technology, if available, is used to allow the public to see the members of the Park Authority Board during this meeting. A phone number, email address, or other live contact information is provided to the public to alert the Park Authority Board if electronic transmission of this meeting fails for the public. And if such transmission does fail, the Park Authority Board will take a recess until public access is restored. A copy of the proposed agenda and all agenda packets have been made available to the public electronically. At the same time, such materials were provided to the members of the Park Authority Board. The public is afforded the opportunity to comment through electronic means, including written comments at meetings where public comment is customarily received. And there are no more than 2 members of the Park Authority Board together in one physical location.
This is Maggie Godbold. You have heard the motion. Is there a second?
Tim Hackman, I second.
Thanks, Tim. This is Maggie again. Is there any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Mr. Chairman, the motion is approved.
Thank you very much. Now that the preliminary matters are complete, we can begin tonight's festivities with FOIA training. Remember, when you are talking, please state your name. Amanda Castle and Cynthia Bailey, the floor is yours.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Cynthia Bailey, Deputy County Attorney from the Fairfax County Attorney's Office. And I have my colleague with me here tonight, Amanda. Amanda, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Amanda Castle. I'm the countywide FOIA officer for Fairfax County. Nice to meet you all virtually.
So folks, the reason we're here tonight is that the law changed this year. The General Assembly now mandates that members of Park Authority boards have formal training. And so that's why we are here and providing you all with the new statutorily required training. And so we know we have a fairly sophisticated audience. So we'll try and go through our presentation very quickly. But we did want to take this opportunity to go over, some of the salient issues in FOIA. I need to take a few minutes as well and explain to you some recent changes in Virginia law that are pretty much hot off the press. About a couple of weeks ago, the Virginia Supreme Court came down with a new decision that's going to change our world a little bit. And we wanted to make sure that we gave you all ample time for questions and answers. And because those questions and answers will be truly asking for our legal advice or my legal advice and opinions, you all will be afforded the opportunity to go into closed session if you have specific questions. So with that, Amanda,
can I just jump in real quickly there?
Sure.
Just for the rest of the board, we do plan on going into closed session. So if you do have questions, probably recommend you hold until Cynthia and Amanda are all done, and then we'll go and we'll do the motions to get ourselves in a closed session and take care of it then.
Ken Quincy, I will now call the Budget Committee meeting to order and ask Tonya Mills to address the items.
Good evening. This is Tanya Mills, the Senior Fiscal Administrator, presenting on behalf of Mike Peters. Tonight, we bring before you 4 action items, as well as a brief update regarding the FY25 budget timeline. I'll begin with the general fund carryover budget request. General fund is supported by the activities in the general fund are not limited to access to parks, grounds, lakefronts, natural, cultural, and horticultural sites, stewardship and educational programs, as well as maintenance of parks, rec pack programs, management of the community concert series, as well as county archaeological functions and ADA compliance activities, community-based leisure classes, special events, trips, and agency-wide management, planning, and administrative services. As you can see from the slide on your screen, the total expenditures and encumbrances for FY23 were 31,310,000 as compared to our revised budget of 36 million. The remaining balance in general fund for expenditures and encumbrance was just over 13,000, which really demonstrates how well we spent every penny that DMB provided us in the general fund for this year. Personnel expenditures were a total of 25,596,000 as compared to the revised budget of 30,753,000. The remaining balance of personnel services offset by recovered costs of just over $1 million left us with a balance of 309,723,000. We recommend that we use this as a carryover encumbrance for that amount for FY23. Moving on for action item number 2.
Let's do action item number 1.
Okay.
Are there any questions on action item number 1?
And just, I've got one.
Yes.
This is Kyle Stone. Tanya, this is a question that really applies to all of them because I noticed the same line appear, I think, in all of the timing ones where you're recommending action for us this evening, but the requests were all due to DMB at the first of the month. I imagine that was a thing in the calendar, water under the bridge at this point, but my concern is, does that put us at a disadvantage in dealing with the county and asking for any of these items? Or did they kind of know this was going to happen? And
Absolutely. The county knew it was going to happen. Our carryover memos, as you pointed out, Kyle, were due on the last day of the year, June 30th, which we did have them ready. We also spent a little bit of time last week massaging the numbers as final transactions were posted and cleanup was done during the open period of period 13. So what we're presenting to you tonight is actually what we submitted to DMB last week.
okay, so they're aware of it. This is just assuming that we officially endorse it, and then if there were changes, you would bring them back at that point.
Correct.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Kyle. Ken Quincy, any other questions? The consensus to move this forward?
Yes.
Yes.
No others? Okay.
Sir,
Ken Quincy, I'll ask Tony to introduce item number 2.
Okay, for action item 2, related to our carryover request, as well as within the general fund, we are requesting the listed items that you see on your screen be, and they are in prioritization order. The total of 19.8 million is slightly higher than what we've received just on average from previous carryover requests. However, we're hoping that the funding will be available due to anticipated ARPA additional funding be available during carryover period. So we do believe that we have a strong chance at an opportunity of receiving the majority, if not all, of these requests. And so we recommend moving forward with these approved list in their prioritization order for a total of 19,857,000.
Ken Quincy, questions, comments? Is there a consensus to move this item forward?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. You're still on, Tanya.
Okay, moving forward with action item number 3, and this is going to be for our park bond construction fund. As you can see, the fund is reflective of all of our bond activity projects for FY23. We had a total disbursement of $26.6 million, which left us with a net positive cash flow of $1.6 million. And we recommend appropriating that over into our park renovation and upgrades 2020 PR 147. The main purpose of this is to recognize the appropriation of our $1 million bond premium that we received in the spring, as well as $140,000 in grant revenue that was earned. The bond premium, as we previously discussed, has already been allocated to projects that are currently in progress. So the recommendation is to appropriate the ending balance of 1.6 million.
Ken Quincy, questions, comments? Consensus to move this forward?
Yes.
Yes.
Still on, Tanya?
Okay, so moving on to the final action item number 4 for our Park Improvement Fund. As you can see from your statement, the statement is reflective of our total expenditures for FY23 and disbursements. And that's after our transfers in and that we received of 1.2 mid-year and towards the end of the year with all of our balances at 1.9 million. The ending balance is a little bit less than what we have with transfers in. Again, it's reflective of our spending and expenditures that we had that shows that we're really using our Park Improvement Fund to reinvest in our overall health and maintenance of our parks. So the recommendation here is to approve of that additional balance of 1.9 million to be transferred over from the Park Improvement Fund over to our park, to increase the Park Improvement Fund, transferring over from our revenue fund balance.
Ken Quincy, questions, comments?
And this is Tim Hackman. I do have a question. So does this chart imply that we are actually going to spend $34 million out of the Park Improvement Fund in FY24? Or is this just an available balance?
No, this is the 34 million is the actual that we spent in FY23, and the revised adopted is what I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm looking under revised total disbursements. 34.7 million. Does that imply we're going to actually spend that in FY24?
No,
Okay.
it's just what we have available.
Okay, thank you. I just wasn't sure then why the ending balance is only $1.5 million.
So that is just reflective of our total disbursements and what we actually transferred in as a result of our revenue additions from FY23.
So I guess what you're saying is that the 34 then gets transferred to 34.7 gets transferred to FY25. And okay.
So actually, Sarah Baldwin, Deputy Director, actually available would be the 36 million. So that's the new total, which includes the 1.5 that was transferred in this year.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Ken Quincy.
Okay, thank you both. Yep.
Ken Quincy, any other questions? Consensus to move this forward?
Yes.
Yes.
Ken Quincy, I think you've got one more to you.
Okay, that actually concludes our recap of FY23 and brings us to taking a look forward into FY25. So with that said, as I'm not going to read these slides word for word, but these are the FY25 budget guidance that DMB has put out. They have an aggressive schedule this year, and I'll go over that in detail in a little bit. However, the general guidance that Park Authority has received is to provide additional transparency and details of our needs, specifically as it relates to our anticipated cash flow needs with respect to our upcoming bonds. DMB has asked that we provide creative alternatives that will take into account restricted funding over the next 2 years. Next slide. The theme of the greater transparency and providing details related to capital is also very prevalent throughout their budget guidance. Sharing information regarding our CIP planning, our bond cash flows, and providing this information to DMB's planning staff specifically are key components that we have been advised to demonstrate that we've followed and actually carried out these steps during our FY25 budget planning process. Next slide. So what can the Park Authority Board do currently? At this time, speak with your district supervisors to learn what challenges they see and what support parks can anticipate to receive. stress the importance of having general fund funding that fully supports forestry and invasive plant controls, as well as other general fund operations that I previously described as I discussed the overall general fund activities. When discussing options on increased law enforcement within our parks, ensure a fully funded option is part of the solution. Next slide. So 25 needs to be focused in on existing programs only. We should focus on taking care of what we already have as a priority and make sure that we have these, that these needs are put for first when we put forth our recommendation for FY25. So what does that look like in terms of timing? You may recall that the next few slides from our previous meeting, we've kind of brought these same slides up. We've added a little bit additional detail. First of all, we're currently in the middle of the summer in which we are identifying our needs and prioritizing those needs. What this means as we take a closer look at July is that we have already begun our division meetings to discuss our goals and objectives for FY25. The next steps is going to be to engage with you all, the board, to ensure that not only do we understand, but that we also address your priorities. The next slide. Key dates. This slide basically highlights a couple key dates because normally we do not have a board meeting in August. However, with DMB's aggressive timeline, I just want to make sure everyone notes that we will be presenting our initial package to the board on August 23rd. And we're hoping to bring it back to you guys the very next meeting for your endorsement after you've had some time to reflect on what we've put forward. And then the final slide is just going to show, as you can see, that after September 13th, things really take off with DMB. And it's a short 1-month window in which the final deadlines to submit our FY25 request are going to be due. So are there any questions?
Questions, comments?
Couple things.
Yes.
This is Kyle Stone. Tanya, can you go back? I think it was slide 13, if I caught the number right. Yes. So I just want to clarify or get clarification for myself. These sets of 3 things were what was in the Board of Supervisors. What is the word I'm looking for? Their carry-on motion after the budget, right? Like this is the direction they gave to themselves, to county staff, to us, right?
Correct.
Yes.
All right. So they have it in their heads to make us operationally whole for forestry, IMA, bamboo. They have it in their heads to talk to us about the Ranger program because that's what they said in May, right? When they voted. Okay, so if we go 1 slide forward then, and then this is what they gave us like in June. Is this the kind of operating guidance they're giving us now that there's been a month in between the carry-on motion and this is the new thinking? Or I just trying to understand how those slides 13 and 14 kind of connect because they do seem a little bit at odds.
So the operating guidance on slide 13 is more of what we as an agency should be doing to provide additional transparency as to, for example, on the bullet point number 2, making us operationally whole. So that is to really provide transparency and granularity. And what does that mean? What is it actually costing us? For a couple of years now, we've always had to move budget and move things around at the sacrifice from park ops, sacrificing park ops budget to be able to just even maintain the basic forestry and bamboo mitigation. So what they're looking for us from here is to understand exactly what the total cost would be for us to have a whole program.
Okay.
That's fully funded. Whereas on slide 14, it's more of coordinating and providing transparency between our agency, the CIP, also telling us to make sure that we're taking care of what we already have and that we're not introducing any new initiatives.
Sarah Baldwin, Deputy Director. So slide 13 is guidance for the Park Authority. Slide 14 is overall county guidance. Okay. So one is more specific to us and the other is kind of overall county guidance.
Got it. Okay.
And
thank
Jay
you.
Cole, Executive Director, the budget guidance that was in that gives us sort of our choose your own adventure, right? That's what's in there. So the two kind of conflict, like you said, but we have budget guidance from the last year that we should be considering these for this year, regardless of budget guidance for this year. So we make sure that we at least are fulfilling the Board of Supervisors requests.
Okay. So the 14 doesn't supersede slide 13, and we'll make sure we still.
In our opinion, it does not.
Okay, cool.
Thank you. I was a little confused between 13 and 14 also. Ken Quincy, any other questions? Okay, this is only a discussion item, an important discussion item. If there's no other items to come forward, I will adjourn the budget committee meeting.
Thank you, Ken. Cynthia?
This is Tim Hackman, to the extent Cynthia is not available.
Cynthia is available.
Okay,
Yes,
sorry.
yes, yes.
Okay, great. Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
I was coming off mute. Thank you so much. So this is Cynthia Jacobs Carter, and I am presently calling the awards committee meeting to order. I'll ask Allison if you would introduce the item.
And of course, it took me a minute to get off mute as well.
Right.
Thank you for your patience. Allison Rankin, Management Analyst with the Park Authority, and I'm going to present to you the 2023 Ellie Doyle Park Service Awards program. So as you know, these are kind of our list of awards that we offer. And who approves them each year. So the Park Authority Board chooses the winners for the Ellie Doyle Awards, which includes the main Ellie category, the youth, and the special recognition categories. The Park Board also selects winners for the Strickland category, the Sally Ormsby category, the Stunts Award, and the Jedi Award. The chairman recommends winners for the Chairman's Choice Awards. The Park Foundation chooses winners for their Aiken Awards. It should be important to note that not all award categories must have a winner each year. We do have, this year, we do not have any nominees for the Stunts Award category, for example. And then also important is the Outstanding Volunteer category that is recognized by each site. So for this year, it will be the 35th year that we have been offering the Ellie Doyle Awards program. So that's exciting. And as you all know, it was established to recognize Ellie Doyle's years of service and accomplishments as a board member. And we talked about those categories. The Ellie category was established in 1988. And the award exists to recognize outstanding volunteers and people who have gone above and beyond over time. And we have nominees in each category for the Ellie, the youth, and the special recognition. The Harold Strickland Award was established in 2015 and speaks to partnership and collaboration, and recognizes individuals or organizations that have gone above and beyond to support the Park Authority and the parks, and while reducing the financial burdens of the agency. We do have a nominee in that category. Sally Ormsby is the Environmental Stewardship Award, was established in 2007. And again, speaks to environmental stewardship, looks for individuals or organizations that are stewards of our environment in the parks and have volunteered to support that. Then the Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Award, as we affectionately call the Jedi Award, was established, as you know, last year. We have 2 nominees on the slate this year for this category. It recognizes individuals, businesses, or organizations that are fostering and supporting the efforts in diversity, equity, and inclusion areas, and also supports the goals of One Fairfax policies. And then last but not least, we have our outstanding volunteer category. Each site and some of our programs nominate outstanding volunteers from their site or program that have contributed in significant ways over the last year. So we have on the next slide here, we have 23 sites and programs that have named outstanding volunteers. As you can see from that list, some of them have been volunteering for a short time and some have been volunteering for 18 or more years. So that's very exciting and important opportunity to recognize all of their contributions and their dedication to their site and program. I find it interesting to look at all the different sort of titles that they work under for us. We use volunteers in so many different ways across the agency. It's really inspiring to see them recognized. Then we also, as I mentioned, have the Park Foundation Aiken Awards. They have nominated and selected 3 winners for this year's program, individuals and organizations that have contributed financial support to the foundation, and then ultimately will support the Park Authority. Then on to the exciting part of the evening, the proposed slate of nominees this year based on the voting from the board. We recommend we put forward the slate for the Ellie Doyle Award as the Early Detection Rapid Response Team, which includes Betty Hoblitzel, Debbie Humphreys, and Heidi Allen. Then for the special recognition category, Patrick Evans received the most amount of votes for that. The Youth Award was the Hiking Heroes group. Oh, I'm sorry about that. The Harold Strickland Award slate nominee was the Anna Lemma Society. The Sally Ormsby Award was nominee is the Fair Parks Initiative. Although it's hard to read, the Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Award nominees are Colleen Cannon and Larry Newman. And that concludes the presentation. And with your approval of the slate, we will move forward with planning and notifying and all the wonderful things that need to happen before the big event in November.
Thank you so much, Allison. This is Cynthia Jacobs Carter, and I would like to know if there is any discussion. Seeing none, then I would ask Allison to introduce the next item.
First, I think we need consensus to move that forward, the
do.
slate forward.
I think you're right. Thank you.
Okay.
This is why you are definitely very much needed. Is there a consensus to move this item forward?
Yes.
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 Thank you. Now I will ask Allison to introduce the next item.
Wonderful, thank you. The next item was the resolution that we will put together for those 23 outstanding volunteers who have contributed many hours and dedication and time and love at all of our sites and programs across the agency. They are invaluable to us every year, and it's an important part of our recognition program for our volunteers to recognize them at the Ellie Doyle event in November. And we would like to have you all approve the resolution that we will present to them at that time as well.
So this is Cynthia Jacobs Carter, and I would like to know if there is any discussion. Seeing and hearing none, is there consensus to move this item forward?
Yes.
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 With appreciation, I now adjourn the meeting for the awards committee with appreciation specifically to Allison and the team. as well as all of you for voting. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. Ken, you're up again.
Ken Quincy, Committee Chair of the Planning Development Committee. And I call that committee meeting to order and ask Heather Lynch to introduce the item.
I am Heather Lynch with Planning Development. Which item? I have two items. Okay, good. We're in McLean. Sorry, I had two. Let's see here, McLean Central Park. I'm asking for scope approval in Dranesville District. This scope includes an amphitheater, a 5 to 12-year-old playground, a fitness area, access parking, stormwater management, and trails. The replacement of the 2 to 5-year-old tot lot playground is anticipated to be funded with donations of the community. The project scope cost for the base renovation, not including the tot lot, is $2.4 million, 2403682 and 35 cents. The complete project, including the tot lot, is $2,719,000. Now, the permitting completion, the timeframe, the milestones, permit completion is fourth quarter calendar year 2023, and the completion fourth quarter calendar year 2024. Funding is currently available in the amount of $2,403,682 and 35 cents. Staff is requesting approval on this project.
Ken Quincy, questions, comments? Consensus to move this forward?
Yes.
Okay, Ken Quincy, you're still on, Heather.
All right. Okay. I have one more for you for tonight. The other one, and by the way, thank you for the McLean approval. The next scope approval is the irrigation replacement at Rolling Valley West Park, Springfield District for Diamond Field 1, which is a 65-foot, and a rectangle field number 3. And the 2002 Park Bond Program includes the life cycle replacement of the field irrigation systems throughout the county. Staff identified athletic fields ending the life cycle irrigation here at Rolling Valley West. The project scope cost of this irrigation replacement is $394,111. Project is scheduled to complete the third quarter of fiscal year 2024. Funding in the amount of $394,111 is currently available, and staff requests your approval.
Questions, comments? Consensus to move this forward?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't believe there's any other items.
No, sir.
What?
I said, no, sir. That's it
Oh,
for me, but
okay.
thank you. Sorry.
Okay, this is Ken Quincy. That said, I hereby adjourn the Planning and Development Committee meeting.
Thank you, Ken. This is Kyle Stone. We've had nobody new join, correct? Just confirming that. Okay. Completing with all that taken care of, then we'll call the July 12th, 2023 Park Board meeting to order at 7:31. Ben, do we have any speakers this evening?
Mr. Chairman, this is Ben Boxer, Public Information Officer. We do not have anyone signed up to speak this evening.
All right, we'll get right into the administrative items then. Administration item number 1 is resolution honoring the Fairfax County Park Authority's outstanding volunteers of 2022. This is Kyle Stone, and I would move that this resolution, honoring those outstanding volunteers of 2022.
Tim Hackman, I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. And let me pull this guy up and I will read it. Whereas Fairfax County Park Authority depends on the service of generous volunteers day in and day out to enrich our parks, address our desire to satisfy and attract diverse audiences in park visitation, and to continue to meet the needs of our growing park system and community. And whereas the Fairfax County Park Authority, created by legislative action in 1950, offers volunteers unique service opportunities that allow individuals the chance to grow personally while giving back to their community, and includes such options as invasive plant management and archaeological exploration, assistance at golf courses, working as a market master at our farmers markets, front desk work at rec centers, the chance to teach adapted aquatics or other inclusive programs, the pleasure of experiencing life on a farm or working as a docent at a historic site, improving a trail, or dozens of other volunteer activities. And whereas these essential, good-hearted, hardworking, and resilient volunteers provide an effective means of service provision to the many residents of Fairfax County who visit our parks each year and collectively represent a fiscally sound approach to the provision of services in support of the Park Authority mission. And whereas local volunteers are a big part of the national and state volunteer movement that attracts millions of individuals annually to the call for service and offers not just personal and community benefit, but a tangible fiscal impact that allows park systems across America to thrive despite limits to government support. And whereas the Fairfax County Park Authority Board recognizes that volunteers strengthen Fairfax County, that volunteering makes a positive impact on the environment, on the quality of life, and on the health and well-being of our community, and that volunteering is an essential part of our living in a thriving society, adding enormous benefits and opportunities to our park system. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Fairfax County Park Authority that it expresses appreciation and thanks to, I assume this volunteer will say the individual's names when it actually is presented to them, for dedicated and outstanding contributions to the parks and citizens of Fairfax County, adopted by the Fairfax County Park Authority Board on July 12th, 2023.
Here, here.
All right. Administrative item number 2 is the adoption of minutes. This is Kyle Stone. I would move the adoption of the minutes of the June 28, 2023 Park Authority Board meeting.
Tim Hackman, I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. On to the action items. Action item number 1. Move the approval of the FY 2023 carryover budget review, Fund 10001, Park Authority General Fund.
Ken Quincy, I'll make a motion to approve the FY 2023 carryover budget review, Fund 10001, Park Authority.
Tim Hackman, I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Action item number 2 is the approval of the unencumbered FY 2023 unencumbered carryover requests. Do we have a motion?
Ken Quincy, I make a motion to approve the FY 2023 unencumbered carryover requests.
Tim Hackman, I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. Action item number 3 is the FY 2023 carryover budget review status. Do we have a motion?
Ken Quincy, I make a motion to approve the FY 2023 carryover budget review status, Fund 30400, Park Authority Bond Construction Fund.
Tim Hackman, I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Action item number 4 is another FY 2023 carryover budget transfer request. Do we have a motion?
Ken Quincy, I make a motion to approve the FY 2023 carryover budget transfer, Fund 80300, Park Improvement Fund.
Tim Hackman, I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. Action item number 5 was the Park Authority Awards recipients for 2023. Do we have a motion?
This is Cynthia Jacobs Carter, and I move that we approve the board, Park Authority Board Award recipients for 2023.
Tim Hackman, I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. In the Drainsville District, action item number 6 is scope approval of McLean Central Park renovation. Do we have a motion?
Ken Quincy, I make a motion to approve the scope approval, McLean Central Park renovation.
Tim Hackman, I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Action item number 7 in the Springfield District is irrigation replacement at Rolling Valley West Park. Do we have a motion?
Ken Quincy, I make a motion to approve the scope approval irrigation replacement at Rolling Valley West Park.
And do we have a second? Mike's
Tim
not
Hackman,
here,
I
so
second.
somebody else. Thanks, Tim. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. That ends the action items. We do have one information item this evening, is related to the resident curator program update. Chairman's matters. I just have one thing I want to make sure everyone's aware of. I think Allison sent this email either beginning of this week or end of last week. It's blurring together. But there is the second round of public engagement around PROSA. The next 2 Tuesdays, the 18th and then the 25th. There's Zoom meetings being held. If you didn't take the time to see any of the ones done in the fall of last year, I do recommend hearing the presentation. It's good to get in your head again. Probably be good to hear what the community has to say as well. That's all I have. So Jay, it's up to you.
Of course, I need Allison. Thank you, Allison. So we are going to start off with, next slide. Fireworks, of course. Fireworks at Lake Fairfax Park were great despite a late afternoon rainstorm. It went on without a hitch. I was there. I believe the water mine was full to capacity at 11, and the story that I heard were there people standing in line to get in at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. So popular are our parks for the 4th of July. We had food trucks, or great live music, and we're really grateful for the supporters of our public safety partners, Police Department, Sheriff's Department, Virginia State Police, and Fire and Rescue. Next slide. If it's summer, it's our summer camps. And I just want to say how wonderful I'll probably say it every single director's report about how wonderful our summer camps are. These are just some of our stats. We have 1,233 camps scheduled this summer, 1,233 individual camps that somebody planned, scheduled, and are doing right now, which is an insane amount of camps. At 49 locations, we had 28,000 weekly camp registrations. Our gross revenue for camps is about $8.1 million, 44 contract partners, and 35 counselors in training, which is a really great way of building up people to come work for us in the future. For RecPac, we have 37 RecPac locations, 11,856 weekly camp registrations, and that current gross revenue for RecPac is $658,725. We have 61 counselors in training in that program. As a reminder for RecPac, stats for this year, 53% of the campers receive some form of scholarship, and $5,000 are paid through donated funds for RecPac, full scholarships through the Park Foundation. Next slide. Summer entertainment series, some stats for you on that. 188 total shows for summer 2023, which is a lot of shows to manage. A little thanks to Cherie, who's not on here, but hopefully somebody will tell her. She's our new coordinator for summer entertainment series and other things. Some of the new ones, Providence Presents at Mosaic District, Saturday evenings at 6 p.m., which is a partnership with Eden's Mosaic District. For June events, we had a attendance of 4,942, 30 concerts, 9 venues, and only 5 rain cancellations, which is, I think, pretty good. Can't win them all. And then 206,859 total foundation funding raised in FY23. Next slide. And golf, we also have to talk about golf. 10 major outings hosted, $105,000 We had 6 graduation parties hosted. So don't forget, our golf courses are not just golf courses, but they're phenomenal party venues for weddings and graduations. Sold out course tournaments included the Summer Scrambles, Family Team Challenge, and Women's Golf Month celebrated with special discounts, women's tournaments and nine and wines, and clinics, sip and swing, and clinics in 3 holes. So golf is really in full swing, no pun intended. I think that's it. Yep, and that is it.
This is Kyle Stone. Thank you, Jay. Move on to board matters. Linwood, I see you on my left. We'll start with you.
Just want to remind everybody, unless I'm really, really bored and have really, really good cell service, I will not be at the next meeting. Good luck.
I hope you're not too bored wherever you're going. Thank you. Ken?
I pass.
All right. Maggie?
Pass.
Cynthia?
I would like to take another opportunity to thank everyone for your work on the awards, in particular, my vice chair, Tim Hackman, Allison Rankin, who stepped right in like a real pro, and her team, and didn't miss a beat. Thank you, everyone, one and all. We are wishing you a wonderful rest of the month and summer. Thank
you, Cynthia. Tim?
I pass. Thank you, Kyle.
Abena?
I pass.
Basil?
Nothing from me. Pass.
All right. I didn't miss anybody, correct? All right. Do we have anything else to come before the board this evening? Not seeing anything. Again, this is Kyle Stone. I will adjourn the June 12th, 2023 Park Authority Board meeting. See you guys in 2 weeks.
Hang on, clarification, July 12th.
Yes, July. Sorry.
Okay. See you all. Bye. Thanks.
Bye. Bye.